Hey friends, if you're brand new to programming, you might be wondering if it's the right career path for you. Whichever career you pick, you're going to be spending 8 hours a day, 5 days a week for the next 30 to 40 years doing it, so it better be something you enjoy doing. Life is too short to be doing something that's just going to make you miserable. The first thing I would recommend is working out whether you actually like the core part of programming, which is solving problems with code. If you're a complete beginner to programming, there are quite a few ways to get started and learn the basics. There are actually many games out there now where you need to use code or programming concepts to work your way through the levels. At the end of the day, if you can't enjoy programming while you're playing a game, then the chances of you enjoying it when it's your actual job is pretty slim. I'll put some links in the description for games for you to try out. The one I've tried out the most is called 7 Billion Humans by the Tomorrow Corporation. In this game, you are tackled with controlling the company's workers, where they are tasked with moving, sorting, and destroying data cubes. The game will teach you some of the basics around variables, if statements, loops, and if you find those fun, there's a good chance you'll enjoy programming in real life. Yes, software developers earn good money, but if you don't like the work, there's plenty of other professions you can do that will suit you better. It should go without saying, but software developers spend a lot of time in front of the computer. If you spend a lot of time in front of a computer anyway, then it won't be as much of a shock when you go to spending 8 hours in front of a computer. But if that's not something you do anyway, then it's going to be a bit of a struggle for you at first. If you're working in an office, then you'll probably spend less time directly in front of a computer screen as you've got meetings and chit chats and that sort of thing. For those of you working remotely, you need to remember to take necessary breaks to give your eyes a rest, otherwise you end up needing glasses like me. The stereotypical image of a developer is overweight from lack of exercise, pale from never seeing the sun, and doesn't really care much about their appearance. From my experience, you do get the odd developer that fits this description, but I would say it's probably less than 1% of all developers. The majority of software developers do lead an active and healthy lifestyle. Many commuting into the office choose to cycle or walk, so they get their exercise in at the start and the end of the day anyway. Being agoraphobic isn't a prerequisite for being a software developer, but if the thought of spending 8 hours a day in front of a computer doesn't really appeal to you, then being a software developer probably isn't the career for you. Believe it or not, the best programmers don't spend all their time writing code. The majority of the time is spent on breaking down problems and working out solutions. Writing code is incredibly time consuming, so the last thing you want to do is spend a lot of time on coding the wrong solution. The hardest part is also the most rewarding. It's being able to take a problem and breaking it down into multiple steps and then working out all the different scenarios you need to cater for. For example, imagine you're taking money out of an ATM. The general public probably break this down into about 5 steps. 1, you put your card in. 2, you enter in your PIN number. 3, you select how much money you want to take out. 4, you take your card back. 5, you take out your money. Job done. However, there are many more steps you need to consider if you're actually going to write code for an ATM. Putting your card in isn't actually the first step. First, the ATM needs to know if it's got any money in the machine, otherwise it's going to display a message to say that it's run out of cash. You then put in your card, but the ATM doesn't just take your card, it actually sucks in your card. So there's motors there and sensors to detect when your card is present, and the motors kick in to pull your card into the machine. The ATM then needs to check if it can read your card properly, and if it can't, it might return it to you and display a message. You then get round to entering your PIN number. The ATM needs to validate that the 4 digits that are entered are actually the correct ones for the card. If you get your PIN number wrong, it might give you the option to enter it in again. If you get it wrong too many times, it might take the card from you and then contact the issuing bank. When you get your PIN number correct, then the ATM displays which options are available to you. Maybe you want to see your balance or get a receipt after you've taken money out. But to be able to do that, the ATM needs to know first whether it's got enough paper to be able to print a receipt. If you choose to take money out, the ATM then needs to work out which notes are available in the machine. If the ATM only has 20s available, then all the options are going to be in multiples of 20. And the list goes on and on. Being able to think logically doesn't come naturally to people, but you do get better at it over time. It is, however, a necessary skill you need to have to be good at programming. The last important thing to consider is whether you enjoy learning new things. For some people, they can't wait to leave school or university so they can stop learning all the time. For the most successful people, however, learning doesn't stop. You just learn different things. In fact, learning after formal education could be more enjoyable because you're actually learning things you want to learn and not what someone's telling you to learn. Having a love for learning is critical if you want to be a software developer. Even if you're only planning on focusing on one area of software development, there's a huge amount to learn. New technologies coming out all the time, which means you need to constantly learn new things to keep up to date. For example, if you're a front-end developer, say 10 years ago, you would have been building applications with technologies such as jQuery, Backbone, Knockout.js, or Ember. Then AngularJS came out and companies started using it. And if you wanted to carry on being a front-end developer, you needed to pick up AngularJS quickly. Then Facebook developed React. And slowly companies started moving over to that too. Even React now is about 10 years old, and technologies such as Svelte and Vue are becoming more popular with companies. Front-end development is particularly fast-paced, but even back-end developers need to constantly develop their skills to not get left behind. A love for learning is crucial if you want to stay ahead as a software developer. So you think you have what it takes to be a software developer and are ready to get started? If you're struggling to know where to start, you might like my next video on which is the best programming language to start for beginners. Thanks for watching and see you next time.